Ferris. I know a lot of you folks. I've not spoken about my recent past, but I feel like because I was asked to do this today, I would go ahead and share some of what I've been working on myself. I gotta say that given the topic of being courageous, I don't really feel, like Kathy was saying, like I'm particularly courageous. I'm just trying to find a positive way to continue to live my life. 3 years ago, my sister-in-law, then my mother-in-law, and then my father-in-law all died within a 3-month period. They were like a second family to me, and my family spent part of a summer, every summer with them, and I loved them dearly. A few months later, my wife Chris, whom I consider my best friend and the center of my life since high school, decided that she wanted a life of her own and that she wanted to leave Moscow and me. This was after 35 years of marriage and being together. Then, during the divorce process, which fortunately was amicable, I was diagnosed with throat cancer, which was very painful disease, and I'm fortunate in having survived that. Along with all of this, I retired, which in retrospect turned out to be one of the best things that I've done because it forced me to radically change my activities and thinking from a focus on the stresses and busyness of work as a U of I professor and to basically restructure my life. And then to top it off, last January, my oldest sister was diagnosed with an advanced case of very painful bone marrow cancer, and I just returned several weeks ago from her funeral. And a day after her passing, Bill McLaughlin, a friend and colleague of mine at the U of I for 30-some years, passed from bone marrow cancer as well. All of these experiences are at the top of the list of the stresses that one can have in life. So it's not surprising that I had strong feelings of loss and grief and isolation. I was especially heartbroken and lonely after my loss of Chris left me feeling bereft and totally lost. I suffered from deep depression and sadness. I just didn't want to go on living. I didn't give up, though I believe I really don't fear death, and I didn't then. Even now, I'm more afraid of the pain of dying than of passing myself. But not in an act of courage, but in an act of modeling for my kids, of not giving up, of not being a quitter. I received all the treatment I needed, and it had major impacts on me and my life. But with the help of counseling and the support of members of this church, I did slowly but intentionally begin to emerge from my shell of isolation and adapt to my new reality. I began building what Tara Brach, the Buddhist practitioner of meditation and mindfulness, calls spiritual resilience, living a life with the capability of adapting and constructively responding to the changes, the heartbreaks, the loss and suffering that are a certainty of human existence. Brach prescribes 3 ways of building resilience, and that's what I want to focus on quickly here. Giving thanks, serving, and savoring. She suggests that these are the pathways for gladdening the heart, for increasing one's sense of happiness and contentment. The the idea is to develop a positive attitude rather than the negativity that's so easy to fall prey to, and integrate these pathways into one's life, seeking out opportunities for increasing one's life satisfaction. I found many ways in Moscow to engage in service. Scott Peck writes about love as an act of intention and effort of acting to nurture one's spiritual growth, but also that of others. For myself, I'm increasingly integrating being thankful, especially for the opportunities for serving into my life in this community. I've been directing my attention consciously, intentionally, to the good in my life here. And I'm therefore achieving a more positive, adaptive approach to my thoughts and my actions, thereby expanding my experience of joy and love. I'm fortunate to have the Habitat for Humanity surplus store here, where I volunteer a couple times a week, and I'm a part of that wonderful community. Both of the wonderful people who work there, and also the interesting people who come to shop there. And I found this church a welcoming community on my return after a long absence. I just can't believe all the help and friendship that people have offered, the ability to talk truthfully, honestly, authentically about my experiences. And I especially appreciate Elizabeth, our minister. She's really helped me, and I've learned a lot from her. Also, I've served as a co-facilitator of our men's group, one of our men's group with Tom, and participated in the small group ministry meetings. Those have been very enriching. And I'm really thankful for the music we have here, especially appreciating John Anderson as our music director. I love singing in the choir. I love singing with a group, and the choir pieces they select are just wonderful. Thanks, Marty. Serving can entail simpler actions than volunteering, so I've really been focused on just trying to connect with people, smiling at them, introducing myself to new people, complimenting them, and other various random acts of kindness, like just holding the door open for someone, or helping them in some small way, carrying groceries, or whatever the case might be. The third path I've been focusing on is savoring, just taking the moment to mindfully pause, to just stop and silence that hamster wheel of my ongoing internal chatter. A lot of it can be negative, and being present in the moment, and just opening on my senses, looking at all you folks and the attention you're giving to what I'm saying, and the silence and the ambience of this beautiful sanctuary. So I continue to be obsessed somewhat with my past life and with my loss of my extended family. And I can slide back into my grasping for experiences that I just can never have again. But I'm under no illusion that there were always negative aspects to that as well. But I still want it back, and I'm still lonely, still feeling like I'm missing out on, family get-togethers, and wondering why other people have the kinds of fun experiences that I'm missing out on. But I realize that's my ongoing arguing with reality, a result of my willfulness, my having expectations and wanting things my way, and being unwilling to accept and make peace with just what is. So my whole emphasis on being positive and growth is that I'm trying to be appreciative of all I do have in the present moment. I continue to write almost daily in a gratitude journal that my daughter gave me, and I try to listen daily to a Brock podcast, which if you haven't listened to those, they're just wonderful. And I believe this is all helping to rewire my brain and become more cognizant of being positive and appreciative. So, I no longer think about death as an escape from my life, but I am finding that, and I am constantly reminding myself that, as Henry Newman wrote, joy does not simply happen to us. We have to choose joy and keep choosing it every day. Thank you.